Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we'll be talking about some of the common terms we use to describe important actions or roles in Overwatch. We often get questions about what a certain term we use means, so this video is designed to further your understanding of the shorthand we commonly use. DPS. So DPS is often used to describe a hero whose primary role is damage dealing. The term itself comes from MOBAs and is an acronym for damage per second. Although this can be literally true of some heroes, it doesn't technically suit all of them. A hero like McCree, for example, does damage in bursts of individual hits, whereas Soldier 76 does more sustained damage with his auto rifle. A more accurate umbrella term of damage dealer is probably preferable, but DPS has become common not only on this channel but in other media as well. Hit scan. Hit scan refers to a method in which a hit is registered by a hero's weapon. A hit scan shot is instantaneous, has no travel time, and has no physical in-game geometry. McCree's Peacekeeper and Widow's Sniper are hit scan weapons. If your reticule is on target when you press fire, a hit will automatically be registered. Call of Duty, for example, mostly has hit scan weapons, whereas the Battlefield series makes use of fast-moving projectiles. Projectile. A projectile in the context of Overwatch is a physical artifact in-game that has 3D geometry of its own that is used as a firing method. Farah's rockets, Hanzo's arrows, and a sleep dart, they all have projectile properties. Projectiles have travel time, meaning they move at a certain speed from your weapon to the target. They have different, more generous hitboxes on targets compared to hit scan weapons that they interact with, and also can be of varying sizes themselves. For example, Hanzo's arrows not only interact with larger hitboxes on targets, but have a larger physical size themselves compared to hit scan bullets, which tend to be much smaller if not completely pixel accurate. Skill shot. The term skill shot refers to a single attack or ability that has huge potential value but requires a high amount of mechanical skill to perform. Think Widow, Hanzo, and McCree headshots. An example of a skill shot ability would be Ana's sleep dart. Any single action that has massive potential but is hard to perform can qualify. Poking. The term poking describes a situation in which your team are looking for an opportunity in a full team footsie battle. Think King's Row or Hanamura choke points at the entrance to the first point. Teams will use range and positioning to try and get some kind of opportunity to exploit, be it an early pick or a race to destroy a Rhine shield before your own breaks. Baiting. Baiting has a few contexts, but the one that we'll cover here refers to a mostly accidental mistake that players can often make. If you're playing as Genji, for example, and you and your team are in a poke battle, you may choose to stay at range to avoid death or feeding ultimates. However, your team may choose to commit to a push and you fail to do so. Staying at range as if you're still in a poke battle while your team commits to a fight is an example of accidental baiting. You've chosen personal survival over performing your actual role, which as a Genji is to commit with your team and disrupt the enemy team's back line. As I say, this can be accidental and can come down to poor communication, which is common in solo queue. However, playing a hero selfishly instead of their required role and playing for personal stats are a common component of someone baiting. Focus fire. The term focus fire is something we've talked about a lot on this channel, and it can basically be boiled down to this principle. Your team becomes efficient when they focus their collective fire onto a single target to kill it quicker. Why they would do this is a little bit more complex. For example, certain targets have massive potential impact. An enemy Mercy with res in her pocket is something your team needs to eliminate very quickly. So the best way to do that is to prioritize her over other more immediate targets right in front of you and shoot her as a team. Other times it can be more opportunistic. Perhaps a misplay occurs by an enemy in a poke battle. Your team should then focus its fire to press your advantage before refocusing its attention to the next target, and so on. Pocketing. Pocketing is a tactic that a support player can use to specifically select a teammate to amplify or protect. So a Mercy dedicating to a Farah is a good example. Another would be an Ana pocketing a Rhine, building nano boost and healing him when it's activated. It's a tactic used to gain an edge somewhere in the team fight. It's a higher risk play, as if a support is focused on one teammate, they can neglect others to the detriment of the team, but it can also make a push or break one. It's very powerful when used correctly and is something I have used to great effect with Frito. Usually I play a damage hero in our setup, but my Farah is non-existent, so when one is required I will often elect to pocket Frito's Farah with Mercy instead. Tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is where a player has their awareness narrowed to the point where they can only focus on what's right in front of them in a negative way. So ignoring teammates' calls, not focus firing with their team, fighting in irrelevant 1v1s, wasting ultimate value, and so on. It's actually very easy to tunnel vision when the game gets very chaotic, but it's something the best players do the least often. Jump/initiate. These two terms mean essentially the same thing when we use them, generally used to describe when a Winston or a Genji initiate a team fight by jumping the enemy backline. A better way to describe it might be the moment of commitment a team shows to a fight. It's the moment where the shot caller decides who and what happens in an attempt to win. The heroes who initiate are usually dive heroes, but can be a Lucio speed boosting your death ball into the enemy setup, or a Rhine charging a specific target to create space. We sometimes sometimes use jumping as a term simply to describe Winston initiating because he does physically jump into the fray. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you want us to cover anything specific, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments below. Also, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you'll find updates about new videos and streams. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time!